Hi there, I'm James. I'm based here at the headquarters of HSD Europe, Track Culture and Driftworks. Just bought myself a little MX-5, bit of a daily driver, some good potential for a bit of track day fun as well. I'm certainly not a trained mechanic, but I've been tinkering around with cars for a few years now. The job we're going to do today is something you could do at home with a decent toolkit, but I'm lucky enough to have use of the Driftworks workshop for the afternoon, so we're going to back the car in and get started. So here are the parts we're going to fit. We've got a set of HSD HR coilovers, fully height and damping adjustable. We'll go over the feature of those in a second. And a set of the new Rotor Grid V wheels. These are 15 by 7 inch wide. Offset's about 80/20, I believe. I'm quite lucky, I've got used to the ramps here, but this is a job you could easily do at home with a decent jack and a set of axle stands. I'm going to use a cordless impact wrench to do most of the jobs here, but almost everything we're going to do today is easy enough with a decent socket set. Just makes it a bit faster. Now this particular car is a Japanese import. It's one of the special editions, so it's come with Bilstein sports dampers on. But really they just feel too harsh for the UK roads. They might be totally fine on a perfectly smooth Japanese road or on a racetrack, but it's really shaky. And this car's come with a factory fitted strut brace on top of the dampers. We're just going to take that off. Also, with a lot of MX-5s, they've seen a few years now, so the nuts and bolts are a bit rusty and gammy, so I'm just going to give them a quick spray with the lubricant to mean they'll come apart nice and easy. Okay, so we've undone the four 14mm nuts that hold the strut brace on. These also hold the top mounts of suspension into the turrets on the car. Just going to remove the strut brace. Pop that to one side, we won't be needing that for a little bit. So with the 17mm ratchet on the front and 17mm spanner on the back, we're just going to undo the nut that holds the bottom of the damper onto the suspension arm. And then I'm just going to lever the bolt out from the back. Hopefully. It's not closed. Bit of suspension. So, we're going to take the old suspension off. To do that, we're going to use some spring compressors. Fairly standard tool. You can get these in most motor factors. They work. You've got a standard thread and a reverse thread and a pair of hooks. Turn the thing and it will squeeze the springs together. Put that on the spring now. Need to use these in pairs. And we'll just wind that up with a spanner. Start squeezing the spring. So now we've squeezed the spring enough, that should shorten the length of the entire suspension assembly. So if we pull down on the suspension arms, we should be able to pull the whole lot away. This is a bit tricky. So now that comes. We had to take the bolt out at the bottom of the anti-roll bar drop link to prise the bottom out correctly, but we have it. So here's the old front shock we've taken off. You can see it's had a good life. It's getting quite tired now. Just going to have a quick look at compare it to the coilover we've got here. Obviously this isn't damping adjustable. There's no ride height adjustment on there. It is the Bilstein item, so it's the better of the standard springs and dampers, but it doesn't really compare to something like this, a purpose-built coilover unit. Just pop this out of the way and we'll have a look at some of the features on the coilover. we've got full height adjustment available by winding the damper into the bottom mount here, so there's no need to change the spring preload when you're changing the ride height. We've got the collars here for setting the spring height and the spring preload, and full damping adjustable by the mount on the top there. One point of note, just like to run through, is the damping adjustment on these. They're 16-way adjustable. There's a lot of talk about coilover adjustability, and people use the number as bragging rights, 18-way, 32-way, 16-way, 8-way adjustable. So I'd just like to run through, just briefly explain what that is. The range of adjustment on the coilover, going from full soft to full hard, is 2.5 turns. You can hear the clicks there. And it's approximately 2.5 turns full soft to full hard. The clicks, or the stages, are actually defined by this small part here. One from our spares box. You've got the Allen key that goes into the end of the damper to drive the adjustment within the damper, and then this small part here, as you turn it round, at certain points it clicks. So they're consistent points, there's a set gap between them. We've got with these something like 900 degrees of adjustment. If we wanted to, we could put in an adjustment every single degree and have them 900-way adjustable, and then they'd be better than everyone else's because the number would be bigger. But actually, it's not useful to be like that. 16 ways gives you enough gap between the adjustment for there to be a noticeable difference, but allowing you to fine-tune them all and get that the same across your coilovers, so you can tweak it to exactly how you want it. Just want to run you over the adjustment and the collars on these coilovers. We've got 3 collars on there, 2 locking collars and 1 spring collar. It's where the spring seats on. Going to the first collar, this is the locking collar for the height adjustment, and if we unlock that from the bracket, you can see the threaded section here. The bottom bracket's threaded, and the height can be adjusted by winding the bracket in or out, winding the damper into and out of the bottom bracket. This is important because you're not affecting the damper stroke, you're not affecting the spring preload, but you are getting a very wide range of adjustment on the bottom bracket here. Here's the bottom bracket, it's threaded, the damper's threaded, the bottom bracket winds on here. All the way up here, which is a huge range of ride height adjustment. It's probably about 60mm of adjustment on the damper here. That's going to equate to more like 120mm of ride height change at the wheel. When we've got the bottom bracket where we want it for the ride height, we're going to take the locking collar, wind it down against the bracket, and then lock it on hard using the C-spanners. So now we're going to set the spring collars up. So again, we're going to take the lock collar off so that we can move the spring seat collar. And again, that just winds in and out. If it's a bit too tight, you can use the spanners supplied. Now, what we'd recommend for these, you can see at the moment this spring's just slightly baggy, it can move around. We'd recommend winding the spring seat up until the spring's just captive. I'm going to wind that a little bit more. Okay, that's stopped moving now. That's where we'd keep it. We wouldn't put loads of preload on. We found that gives really bad handling characteristics. So we'd recommend running the spring so it's just captive, and then we're going to lock that off with the C-spanners again. 2 spanners needed this time. 1 in each direction. That's nice and tight now.